Imagine walking into class about 15 minutes late, and your teacher stops the lesson to ask you why you were late. In our hearing culture, we would probably be in trouble, right? But in the deaf culture, the students aren't in trouble at all. In fact, it's quite the opposite. If you all want to use any of your ASL inside or outside of the classroom, these differences in culture are going to be very important to know. Having taken 3+ years of college-level American Sign Language as well as deaf culture classes, and my involvement in the deaf community, all of these things give me first-hand experience with these very situations. The purpose of this speech is to inform you all of a few key cultural differences between the hearing and the deaf culture. Today, I will be looking first at situations we are faced with and how they are handled in our hearing culture. I will then look at those same situations and then discuss how they are handled in the deaf culture. To begin, we will first look at situations and how we handle them in our own culture, the hearing culture. The following situations and how they are handled in the hearing culture are the norm, but do remember, there are always exceptions. We are all hearing in this classroom, and the way we interact with each other actually says a lot about our hearing culture. Personal space, for example, is something that the hearing culture values. We all have and try to respect each other's personal bubbles during interactions. If I'm talking to you, I don't interfere in your area and you don't come into mine. Eye contact is not necessary in the hearing culture, especially in a school setting, when students are able to take notes and a professor can continue with their lecture. And according to a 2007 article entitled Interacting with Deaf People from A to Z by Gretchen Weich, eye contact here in the hearing culture can range from aggression to romantic interest. And the hearing culture tends to withhold personal information as well as refraining from potentially offensive descriptors of others. When we first meet someone, for example, we tend to say, "Hi, how are you? What's your name? Nice to meet you." We seldom ask about people's childhood and backgrounds on our first meeting. And we all know this rule. If you can't say anything nice, don't say anything at all. All of these decisions that we make are almost subconscious, and they have a direct line to our hearing culture. Next, we're going to see just how different the deaf culture says to handle these same situations. In the journal Communication Considerations A to Z, Benedict and Legg say that deaf culture is based on deaf values and perspectives. These differing values and perspectives are what the following differences in these situations compared to in the hearing culture. If you are going to be using your ASL, even in the tiniest bit, you'll want to know what to do when these situations come up. Now, personal space is nearly non-existent in the deaf culture. The bubble in the hearing culture is sign space in the deaf culture. It's how and where you communicate, so there are no boundaries. Eye contact is crucial for people in the deaf culture, and a lack of eye contact is not only rude, but it will pause a class until it is regained. And according to that same article by Gretchen Weich, eye contact in the deaf culture never serves more purpose than simply paying attention. Personal information is more openly shared amongst the deaf culture. In the deaf culture, it is key that you are open. Very little is off record. Telling about where you went to school in the first interactions happens every time. According to Halpern's 1996 article, Listening In on Deaf Culture Standards, the reason deaf people ask where others attend school growing up is because that's where most children learn their American Sign Language, and that is where their connection to the culture lies. And in a 2001 video by Holcomb and Mendez, See What I Mean? The Differences Between Deaf and Hearing Cultures, they state that a common deaf culture rule is, if you can see it, you can say it. Now that you have heard how both the hearing and the deaf culture handle these specific situations, I'll wrap all this up with a quick summary of the cultural differences. The purpose of this speech was to show you guys just a few key cultural differences through examples between the hearing and the deaf culture. First, we look at certain situations and how they were handled in the hearing culture, and then we looked at those exact same situations and how they were handled in the deaf culture, seeing their differences. I hope you guys had as much fun with this as I did. But remember, walking in late and the whole if you can see it, you can say it rule are for the deaf culture, not for Monday mornings in Miss Sharp's class.